Starting with the absolute bare minimum, obvious stuff that anybody can tell you, calories in, calories out is king. At the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is that you're spending more energy per day than you eat. Plain and simple. That's literally the only thing that it really comes down to. The important part when it comes to losing weight is how you do it. And unfortunately, that's going to come down to you. You got to figure that out. Everybody has to figure out their own best way by just trying things and seeing how it works with their body. Why that is important is that it has to be sustainable. We can't be losing our minds and eating 6,000 calories over budget because we had a bad day. That's just bad habits. If you can structure your diet and your day to where you function and feel good and lose weight, that's the ultimate goal. You just have to figure out what that math equation looks like. I can't stress enough how those are literally the only things that matter. With all that being said, the rest of this video is just going to be me giving recommendations as a person who's had a couple of successful weight cuts over the last couple of years. In a myriad of conditions like being on graveyard shift, working normal hours, intermittent fasting, the whole nine yards. A couple of baseline things first. Track your calories for a bit. A lot of people don't like to because it can be kind of annoying. You can get insane with it where you're measuring shit down to the gram. I don't think that's super necessary. Just start by tracking the closest estimate of what you're eating per day, with as little estimation or cheating as possible. Overestimate the calories you're calculating if you need to, because you probably are undercalculating to begin with. I'd say only do this for a little bit. In my personal opinion, you should only be doing this with the intention of getting a feel for how much food is what amount of calories, what that feels like, and then once you consistently eat the same amount of calories every day for a week, weigh yourself. Weighing yourself is important because that's how you track your progress. I personally weigh myself only once a week. I try to weigh myself as soon as I wake up because the weight of food and water you drink throughout the day can cause quite a bit of fluctuation, like 2 to 5 pounds, just from day to day. And if you do it as soon as you wake up, that's all kind of moot and doesn't really matter as much. You aren't, or rather shouldn't, be seeing too big of a difference from day to day or even week to week. Generally, a healthy range for weight loss is about a pound a week to maybe 2 pounds if you're really pushing it. If you're really on the heavier side, some people can get away with like 5 pounds a week, but that's ridiculous, unsustainable, and near impossible for somebody who might just be moderately overweight. Using myself as an example, if I was 220 pounds with no added muscle, exclusively body fat, that would be about 40 pounds of fat on me, extra than what I got now. I'd still be looking to do about 2 pounds a week. Since I exercise regularly, I used to wrestle, I can handle a bit of hunger. If you want to go higher or feel bad, you should probably consult a health professional, not some Gen Z person who posts on YouTube without a degree. The next point is for if you're shooting on the higher end, I'm talking like 1 to 2 pounds a week. The unfortunate reality is that in all likelihood, you're probably going to be a bit hungry throughout the day. If you think about it, hunger is just your body telling you that you aren't eating enough food to maintain your current weight, which in all reality is true. Plain and simple. Now, to get a bit more in detail, I'm not saying you have to be ravenously hungry, but maybe just a little bit is kind of the sweet spot that you want to be maintaining in a calorie deficit, and also not going completely insane on your pantry as soon as you get home from work. However, this can be somewhat managed by your food choices as well. Who'd have thought vegetables are good for you? In more ways than one, but I'll go into here. Vegetables are kind of an insane cheat code for diets. Most of them are just fiber and water, amounting to as close to 0 calories as you can realistically get, while also being insane by volume. I personally cook all of my lunches on Sunday. It takes me about 2 hours total. I just fry up 5 pounds of chicken with a boatload of seasonings, 1 pound of rice, and a bunch of vegetables that I like, and I throw it in tins. The vegetables go well with the chicken and the rice, and add a bunch of volume, and make me feel like I'm consuming considerably more food, and they transitively make me feel considerably more full than I would otherwise. Another similar cheat code is if you're more on the bodybuilding slash weightlifting sphere, is to cut out egg yolks if you make anything with eggs. I used to do scrambled eggs and spinach for breakfast, and I found that you could cut 2 yolks out of 3 eggs and still have a mostly untampered with scrambled eggs with 3 times the protein and lower calories, since most of the calories are in the yolk, with the whites being pretty much just protein. This is not an endorsement or recommendation that everything you eat has to be high protein, because if you're doing that and not working out regularly, it doesn't matter, like, pretty much at all. Yes, higher protein foods are generally more satiating, but protein is the new buzzword that sells goods, so advertiser demons will inject that word specifically into anything that can make more money. And to be honest with you, yeah, that's kind of it. Revising to a simple step-by-step guide. Track your calories for a little bit until you get a feel for what you can eat on a daily basis and still lose a little bit of weight. Weigh yourself once a week to see what point what you're eating is actually losing weight. Ideally, as soon as you wake up, to mitigate water and food variables. Make sure you're eating foods that you like and that you aren't going to cheat on. And if you want a little bit of a speedier cut, making sure that you're just a little bit hungry throughout the day can be a good marker to know where you are. From there, just shoot for losing about a pound a week, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But from there, just stay consistent, trust the process, and you should reach your goal in time. Trusting the process is important, since healthy weight loss doesn't look like changing into a completely different person in 3 months. Trust the process, but track the progress to actually make sure that you are making progress. For ending notes, I'll talk about some other idiosyncratic things that have helped me, or adjustments that I've made that have worked well. It's a common misconception that cardio is how you lose weight. It's not necessarily untrue, but let me explain the numbers. Cardio is generally the highest calorie expenditure exercise that we can do as people, so it is, in theory, the best thing that you can do. But if you examine the numbers a little bit more, my lunches with my chicken, rice, vegetables, and Greek yogurt and fruit all come out to around 800 calories, little more. An hour of not sleeping at the wheel but not slacking on an exercise bike is about 330 calories. That's a good chunk, don't get me wrong, but are you really gonna bike for 2.5 hours to work off a single Big Mac? No, that's just not sustainable. Cardio can be good, but I'd also generally advise not counting your calories or trying to use it as a cushion to give yourself more food. No matter how strong you are, that is a slippery slope. We are all victims to our own impulses. I personally eat the same thing pretty much every day for breakfast and lunch. That makes tracking calories really easy. It also makes eating food really easy because I know what I'll be eating. I like eggs. I like chicken. I do frozen fruit and Greek yogurt with my chicken and rice lunches. I just like all that stuff. So it's easy for me to eat, and I look forward to it whenever I'm at mealtime. I've been called clinically insane for this, though, so your mileage may vary. As with all things health related, try it if you think it sounds interesting, see how it works for you, and then either do it or don't. It's that simple. Making it easy on yourself for eating tracking things and making it easier to stay consistent for you, make sure you keep that in mind. The last note is intermittent fasting. It's a concept that's been around for a while. I'm not going to get too in detail here. It's a very simple concept. Eat the same amount of calories that you would across an entire day within a 6 to 8 hour period, and nothing else the rest of the day. I've been doing it since I got kicked to the graveyard shift, and honestly, it's been going pretty well. One adjustment that I had to make was I noticed that I'd get a bit of a sweet tooth later in the day, so I swapped around what I was eating. Originally, I was having my yogurt and fruit for breakfast as soon as I woke up, in quotes, but I just saved that for later and started with my chicken. It was that simple, and that worked out pretty well for me. After Christmas, I won't lie, over the holiday season, I was pretty loose with my consumption of Christmas treats, and I never weighed myself for all of December. So it was a pleasant surprise to see that I actually lost 2 pounds over December. That was kind of weird. But yeah, that's kind of about all I got. Trust the process, track your progress. Don't go too fast, and you'll get there eventually.